I'm excited to welcome up to the stage Mark Douglas. He's the president and CEO of MNTN. Mark. Good morning.
Good morning. How you doing?
Good. Good to see you.
Hi, everyone.
Oh, Mark, well, it's great to have you here. I'm excited for our conversation. I think we're going to be continuing our conversation that we have had in the past and certainly started just a bit ago.
Yeah.
So lots of exciting things for you to share from your perspective and the MNTN perspective on certainly CTV, but also creativity and the power of creativity as a strategic driver in all of this. So I think there's some really cool examples in the case study, if you will, that is the MNTN business, because it's so reflective of, you as CEO of the company, how you think strategically about what the company must be in order to deliver on its goals for your marketer clients, which is unique, really unique. So we're going to get into that. So let's just start by, you're a premier ad tech provider in the CTV space. You could have acquired a number of tech companies to bolster your offerings, and yet, you decided to go in a different different direction and work with Ryan Reynolds and Maximum Effort. So let's talk a little bit about that. What was the strategic thinking behind that?
Sure. So there were kind of two things that drove that relationship, and it was really organic. So the first was we had a problem. MNTN's focus is on bringing new companies into the television advertising market. So it's predominantly direct response advertisers that traditionally focus very heavily on paid search and paid social. We brought performance advertising to streaming television. And 3/4 of our customers, they've never advertised on TV before. They simply did not have TV ads. So we needed a solution to that problem for them. So Maximum Effort, Ryan and George Dewey and James Toney and the team there became one part of that solution. We also acquired a company called QuickFrame that's like Uber for creative. They don't build creative, they connect you with creators. But even more deeply rooted than that was kind of the business driver, is we just had this feeling that the ad was ironically a forgotten element of the ad industry, that the focus had become so much on the media. And so we provide the tech platform, we automate a lot of the media buying for those performance advertisers, but the part we really wanted to put front and center was the ad itself. And that's also a little selfish, because I always say to our customers that, like, no matter how much technology we create to drive performance for you, if you just put out a better ad, that will beat all the technology that we have. And so, and we just view that as like kind of like Back to the Future. Bring the ad and the meaning, but make the ad entertain, make it often funny is like the ultimate goal. Yeah,
you mentioned James Toney, Ryan Reynolds, George Dewey.
Yeah.
Can you just speak about them for people who don't know? They all bring a real level of expertise to bear. Can you just touch on that? Because I think that's important.
Yeah. So George Dewey, he's fairly well known. He's very involved in all of Ryan's movies. They met, I think, around Deadpool 1, and Maximum Effort came out of Deadpool, the original Deadpool, because there wasn't a big marketing budget for it, so they essentially improvised all in marketing. And then George was a big part of that, and James joined their team later and essentially became the person looking for opportunities and talking to different brands.
And being able to tell your narrative.
Right, and tell the narrative. And so the three of them, now the Maximum Effort team, there's a lot. Since when we teamed up with them, it was a very small team is much larger now, but at the core of it is those three individuals.
Yeah, no, I think that's super important to know, because I mean that is the life of the company. I mean, there's so much richness there and experience, but I think it's in this creativity area that you are marrying what you do, from a technology standpoint with the power of the creativity, I mean, you're arguably taking a completely different look at, and we were talking about that a minute ago, of defining what creativity needs to be, and not only that, how it needs to be executed to be most impactful. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so at its core, Mountain is a software platform. So again, but we're really big believers in the storytelling component. Maximum Effort is an agency that's a part of Mountain, but it's not agency, it's creative agency. It's not agency of record for any brand. So they don't do planning, they don't plan out campaigns, they don't do any of those things. What they do is they try to capture cultural moments or bring back cultural moments from the past. And so they work with brands that are essentially a fit for those moments, and they often reach out to a brand, and they have so much, obviously with Ryan and George, the track record they have, they'll, a good example that was Walking Dead finale, that came together in under 10 days. 5 commercials from started the conversation, no brands even, ready, thinking to advertise there, and they went from, let's do this, to what brands would fit this moment, so talking to brands, convince them, filming and putting that on television. Actually, it was 4 brands plus Mountain. We got a commercial out there too.
So talk about, well, that speed element is so key. Can you talk about, let's focus on that speed component of what you're talking about.
Yeah, so I think what's kind of fascinating to watch is most of the scripts for the ads done by Maximum Effort are just literally text messaged. There's not, it's like you start with an idea, they riff off of it, and script is done. And then there's a team behind that just immediately mobilizes for how they're gonna record that and edit that. And that team, they're fortunate that team has movie making experience, so they have top of the line editing skills, but it all comes together really fast. But there's no planning involved, and it's just all what will work right now. And the brands that they work with are often not even the largest brands. They're emerging brands with interesting products. I mean, the other thing that Mountain, I tell our team all the time, is not advertising is not something really to take that seriously, but at the end of the day, it's just people who are creating interesting products and they want other people to know about it. And the days of ad jingles and kind of subversively getting you to want to buy a product, that's over. You have to go out of your way to buy a bad product. You literally have to say, I refuse to check reviews. I refuse to do anything. I just want to buy bad products. So it's not about forcing a product on you. It's just about discovery. And then back to the point we were just talking about, the speed and the brand that fits, that's kind of what it's all about.
Yeah.
And some of the best moments are just, it's amazing to see how fast that all comes together.
And it's fascinating too that the outreach comes from the company to the client, potential client, not the other way around. So
yeah, a lot of that, does. And the other thing you see, they did an ad for Fubu TV. I think that went out yesterday, and but they released a season of ads. They did 3 ads on the same day, as all different variations of the same idea. Yeah. So again, with stream, and then where Mountain comes into play, that customer can run all 3 of those side by side on Mountain and just literally measure the ones that's getting the best response, and then start to put more marketing dollars towards. So that's where we come into play in terms of performance marketing. Yeah. And so we encourage customers, it's spend less but do more. You want more ads for less money each. And also think about it more like social, the way people create ads on TV, it's kind of very, at least in the past, it's like a big event and it's this very grand. But on social, it's like you would never spend the same kind of money. You want it to be like right now, relevant, get attention, and that's what needs to come to a lot of television advertising.
Okay, so we're going to get into that in a second. But one other point that I wanted you to make, which is just so interesting, is this concept of the difference between brands tracking and wanting to capitalize on trends versus brands tracking and dipping into cultural moments.
Right. Yeah.
Very different approach. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, so my thoughts on that are you have cultural moments and you have cultural trends. Cultural trends usually come with a cultural backlash eventually. And to me, they're a bit to be avoided. Unless you're there at the moments, right? And the moments come and go, and some of them turn into trends. So I think there's a big difference, and you see a lot of brands that try to connect with the trends, and it can seem dated, it can seem out of touch, it can. Like I said, you can actually get burned by it, but the cultural moment generally is just, you're adding to you're contributing to the moment in some way by maybe bringing in humor or bringing a different perspective. And I think when you look at that, like when you look at Max Effort and stuff, you rarely see them connect to a trend. You only see them connect to the moment. Or, like I said, bring back moments from the past. Like with Kraft Foods, who they did a lot of ads with, they brought back a lot of things that Kraft had done literally decades before. Yeah. But revived them and did it in a really interesting way.
So, we're living, just another question real quick on this point. We're living in a time where there's so much that's ephemeral, right? I guess that's the word. It's kind of here today, gone tomorrow. Yeah. And a lot of our media platforms are enabling that. I mean, look, Snapchat is built on that concept. Yeah. It almost feels like what you're talking about couldn't have existed 10 years ago, because now we have the media that enables and makes relevant those momentary sort of pops of relevance or responses. And it's not a bad thing that maybe it's here today and then you're moving on to something else, but do you know what I mean? Like, it feels like there's a better receptivity for that kind of responsiveness from brands, even if it isn't some big long trend thing that lasts for a long time, and you still get value from that.
Yeah, and I think you have to have both strategies. I mean, I'm talking about like do things faster. You need both, right? So if you have a big ad budget, you obviously you want to keep refreshing the creative, and maybe you do have big ideas or you have product launches. The thing that the maximum effort refers to, Ryan specifically, is the term, and George, I think, coined the term fast-vertising. They kind of complement each other. So I mentioned earlier, like maximum effort is not agency of record for any brand, but all the brands they work with have an agency of record. So they kind of do a two-pronged strategy. And what we're starting to see is that brands literally budgeting for the fast-vertising, like they're like, okay, here's my core budget, but then I want to have a budget ready to capture moments. And I honestly think one of the things with TV advertising right now is that it's still TV advertising. I think a lot more the social team, both in how the campaigns are executed as well as how the creative is executed, should be much more involved. And you, in some sense, should actually make the fast-vertising piece or the performance part of the strategy be actually with a different team. Yeah. Be with a team that's more set up for capturing the moment or tapping into the moment, or, in Mountain's case, measuring the performance of what they just did. Because the social teams, they're all about that, the metrics and the, what are we doing today? And I think the core TV team is not really set up for that.
I'm so glad you addressed that, because I'm fascinated by, honestly, like when we talk about everything that needs to happen externally, we have to think about internally. What does that mean for teams? What does it mean for talent? What does it mean for org design? What does it mean for processes? And you're addressing that now, because that's a huge part of it for success.
Yeah, and we see in larger companies that is almost the biggest obstacle, is that they're set up around the type of media rather than what they're trying to accomplish with the media. So they're like, oh, this is on TV, so it should go to the TV team, as opposed to, you know, this is fast and measured, so it should go to the team good at doing things fast and measuring them, which again would be more the social team, who I think should take on more of that part of the television, of the strategy, and not be so focused on what specific media element that, you know, is being put out there.
Yeah, love that. Quick reminder, we will have time for questions at the end, so please feel free to prep your questions now, both those of you in the room as well as those watching virtually. So why has producing enough video creative become such a dilemma for advertisers, and why is solving this challenge so important specifically for CTV?
I mean, I think it's because they're just spending too much money on it. The budgets are too, more creative, less money spent on each spot, so to say, is I think a better strategy. I mean, if you're doing a Super Bowl ad and you're gonna spend $7 million on 30 seconds, then it's probably okay to spend, you know, significant money on the creative itself. But I think we find that just, again, doing more versions, more ads. I think you're gonna start to see, with all the stuff happening in AI, one thing we encourage our customers to do is to test voiceovers, different voices, different accents, like just as many variations as possible, and just measure which ones are most effective. And I think you're gonna start to see that done with AI tech.
Yeah.
And where you can just do a core commercial, but get a lot more variations about it. So the creativity and the core editing is done in the way it is today, but extensions of that get more and more automated. And the old rule I think that people often forget is, like, consumer behavior is impossible to predict. So this, like, I have a great idea and this is gonna crush it. It's like let's try a bunch of ideas. And I think the creative agencies are increasingly lining up for that they're realizing we have to do a lot of variations as part of the message we're trying to put in front of the consumer, and just see which one plays the best. And these are, by the way, all core concepts of performance marketing, but haven't been done as much in the big, with the brand budgets before.
Yeah, yeah. We've talked about this, but, you know, how does it specifically, what is it about CTV's technology that opens new creative opportunities that don't exist in other channels? So talk a little bit about that. Yeah,
I think that's the fact that you increasingly don't need, like, there's just fewer people involved in the process. You don't need an ad ops team. You don't. If you look at the process before, we talked about this earlier, involves a lot of planning, involves a lot of coordination, and your team connecting with, you know, multiple networks, and the ad ops teams, and now it's increased. Like, for what we do, it's all self-serve. The customer literally just uploads a commercial, and it can go out to every TV network pretty much instantly. It goes to it's sent to all of them for creative approval. The approval processes are really quick, and it's live on television, and it's also targetable. So it's just the fewer touch points allow more velocity, and the velocity is also conducive to more versions of the ads and the creative, and all of that adds up to just the brand being able to try more ideas.
Love it. Talk about the creator, you know, how you're set up to support connecting creators with brands through the other businesses.
Yeah, so
where that dovetails with.
Yeah, so I mean, Maximum Effort obviously gets a lot of attention, and they do original production pretty much on every ad, but they do it pretty cost effectively. It's surprising how cost effectively. And we have another division of Mountain we call QuickFrame. We acquired the company at the end of 2021. QuickFrame is like Uber for creative. So they connect you with creators. And this goes back to 3/4 of our customers have never advertised on TV before. So they don't have TV ads, but they often have a lot of video. So they have a lot of video they created for social, for YouTube. And so that creator network generally sometimes does original production, but they often repurpose the assets that were created for maybe an Instagram ad or a TikTok ad. They can get the original video, so they can get it into a TV format, and they can recast it in a more of a 30-second or 15-second television format. And it's really important. They can do that for $5,000 to $20,000, as opposed to even a really cost-effective original production shoot is going to be $80,000 or the hundreds of thousands of dollars to do. And it's pretty effective. You measure it. Again, like the creative on social is often very good, very entertaining, and just kind of needs to be re-edited. And also, because it's more a true ad, more of a like classic call to action and things like that. So QuickFrame, they started out doing this for Instagram and TikTok and other social platforms. And now it was a really clean extension of like, okay, let's also now do this for connected TV.
Interesting, interesting. I would love to open it up to all of you for questions. We do have past mics, so let me know if there's any questions out there in the audience. Down there? Yeah.
Oh, way down there.
Thanks, that was great. Ooh, loud. So this might be a little off topic. Can you talk at all about the maximum effort channel that's coming out?
With Fubo, I believe. Yeah, so the Maximum Effort is doing a lot. So I think with that, and they launched ads describing Fubo literally yesterday, there's original content being developed by Maximum Effort. And I think it's more that they're guiding it. It's not necessarily they're fully producing it. That fits with the Fubo audience and so forth. And then I think with some of the advertisers involved, they're going to be working with that ads. But it's really, the idea there is to bring new original content to Fubo TV in partnership with the network. Fubo's very sports focused. Obviously Ryan is involved in a soccer team, so that's other things that he's doing. But the Fubo Mountain is also a part of bringing that to life, and so we have a relationship with Fubo also. But they're a fast network, and I think there's some really interesting content that's going to be coming out of that.
More questions, yeah?
Do you see chatbot or any AI products being part of your creative process?
So the mic wasn't on, but the question was, do we see chatbots or other AI technology being part of the creative process? Yes. So we have, I don't want to reveal too much, but we have a team in the company dedicated right now, and we have some creative tools that are not as well known, but they're that help you to assemble assets in the ads, and we think there's some really big opportunities to bring AI technology, and we call it the Creative Suite, to bring AI technology into the Creative Suite. So that's something we are definitely investing in. We have a pretty big engineering team, so we fortunately can put a portion of the team on that, and I think they're very excited. We actually took volunteers for that project, and we got them across. We have people from our finance team that are now involved in AI tech just because they were early adopted. They're like at home, like playing with all these technologies and have like really cool ideas. So it's across the company we're getting ideas for what to do there.
Other questions?
Can you take us through one of the products or brands that you work with that we probably never know of, and take us through sort of the measurement and how you tested and how you actually got them more visibility than they ever expected?
Yeah, so a good example of that is Build.com. So they're like an online Home Depot. They have brand. If you've remodeled your home, you've probably seen some of their brands like Faucets Direct and other brands. They have 16 different brands. They're a multi-billion-dollar company, had never been on television before. Our customers tend to start with a test budget. So they test, spend, they do it very much like social. So they go into there, they build some campaigns, they might leverage, in their case, they had tons of video, didn't have a TV commercial, so they leveraged quick frame, and got the video into a commercial format, and then they just measured. They measure the campaigns. So the key was, one, is we wanted them to have lots of variations of the media. So by not focusing on like one big commercial shoot and instead let's do a lot of different variations, they were able to deploy that, measure it. We measure visits to the brand. There are no clicks on a TV ad, so there's tech to measure it from any of the other devices. It's cross-device measurement. So the first device, your TV, the other devices are your phone, tablet, computer, conversions to that. And then it's just all iterating from there. And then the other key thing they do is there are new versions of the commercials like at least every 90 days. It's just constant, and every time there are new versions, there are multiple variations of it. So the thing about the Mountain platform, our sales cycle with people who know social is very short. But our sales cycle with people who know TV is like 6 times longer. Because they all of a sudden have to think, they need to think differently, where the social people are like, wait, this is just like, doing paid search and paid social, but it's television now. And that's kind of the point.
So fascinating, Mark.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here.
Sure.
Great conversation. And everyone, please join me in thanking Mark.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. That's fantastic. Thank you.